Once upon a time, there was a girl named Sarah who lived in a small town with her older brother, Jake. Jake and Sarah were inseparable. Growing up, Jake always watched over her and taught her to be careful, but one evening, the unimaginable happened. Sarah had been walking home from school alone when a strange, dark van started following her. She tried to shake it off, quickening her steps, but the van pulled up beside her, and before she could scream, a man jumped out, covering her mouth and dragging her inside. Jake sensed something was wrong when Sarah didn't come home. His instincts kicked in. He called her friends, and when no one had seen her, panic set in. He searched for her all night, but it wasn't until the next morning that he found her small pink backpack abandoned near a deserted path outside town. It felt like his heart had turned to ice. He swore he'd find her, no matter what it took. For days, he followed every lead he could find, asking locals if they'd seen anything unusual. People tried to reassure him, saying the police would handle it, but Jake couldn't wait. He felt an urgent tug, a feeling only he could understand. Eventually, he heard whispers from a friend about an abandoned cabin deep in the woods, rumored to be used for strange, illegal activities. Without a second thought, Jake headed into the forest. Night fell, and shadows twisted around him as he searched, his flashlight slicing through the dark like a lifeline. After hours of walking, he finally found the cabin, half hidden by trees, decaying and dark. But there, faint and desperate, he heard a voice, Sarah's. Quietly, Jake approached the cabin, using every ounce of stealth he'd learned over the years. Through a window, he saw Sarah tied up in a corner, looking terrified but alive. Her captor sat by the door, dozing off in a chair, his shadow stretching long and menacing in the dim light. Jake held his breath. He had to act fast. Gripping a heavy branch he'd found outside, he crept into the cabin, his eyes never leaving the kidnapper. With one swift, silent blow, he knocked the man unconscious. He rushed over to Sarah, who looked up, tears in her eyes but hope finally sparking within them. Jake, she whispered, hardly daring to believe it. Shh, he said, untying her as quickly as he could. We're getting out of here. He scooped her up, and together, they fled into the night, back through the dark, twisting forest, until they finally reached the safety of home. Sarah was saved, and Jake had become her hero. The shadows of that night haunted them both for a long time, but they knew that as long as they had each other, they would never be alone in the dark again.